Kia ora, my name's Janie and welcome to This is Kiwi. This season we're talking to 6 remarkable Kiwi who represent a generation that's using the power of passion to unlock financial freedom. My guest today has always had his sights set on a career in music, and while that's still at the heart of what he does, he's expanded into other creative content, which led to him becoming the most viewed New Zealand artist on TikTok last year. With over 46 million likes on the platform, Taylor Roche has well and truly proven that challenging the status quo and seeing obstacles as opportunities can really pay off. And sometimes quite literally, because what started out as posting funny videos on the internet for kicks has now turned into a viable career that's enabled Taylor to grow his personal brand while still making an impact with his music. You might be familiar with his content, but there's a lot more to him than you see on TikTok, as you're about to find out. Here's Taylor Roche on This is Kiwi. Taylor Roche, welcome to This is Kiwi. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
I want to comment on your cardigan first of all, because it's
pretty crazy.
Extremely cool. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it's working, because I was umming and ahhing because I know that there was avoid patterns. I've come in hot with patterns, but
you're a rebel.
Yeah, No, I'm definitely not a rebel.
You're not?
Maybe. Oh, no, I don't think I am.
Tell me what you were like as a kid.
As a kid, yeah. I was actually a really good kid. I definitely was, and I'm not just saying that. Like I was, I was quite I was such a mummy daddy's boy. Like I was pretty well behaved. I have a younger brother. He was kind of like the polar opposite of me. He was the loud boisterous one. I was pretty quiet.
Are you the oldest child?
Oldest child.
Yeah, that's huge. So, oldest child energy. Hey?
It is.
Responsible.
Yeah, the wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wise beyond my years. No.
You're only 26.
Yeah. I
want to know, what was life like for you? You've told me what you're like when you were a kid, but like as a teenager.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was pretty good. I had a great my schooling was awesome. I went to an amazing high school, Cashmere High School down in Christchurch.
Yes.
That was where I found my love for music and performing. I was a huge theatre kid, so I was really involved in the theatre down there. And I met some of the most amazing friends that I'm still very connected with now. So
now, oldest children stereotypically go into roles like doctors and lawyers and accountants, and you have not taken that route at all.
The absolute opposite of that. Yeah.
So tell us about what you do.
So I'm a musician, artist, content creator, DJ. I always just tell people that I'm like a full-time creative.
Yeah.
And that's me. It's always been me. I've always been a very creative person. That's my, I don't know what, I just say creative and roll with that. So I kind of have my hands in different pockets at different times. But I ultimately love performing and entertaining. And that's me.
And is that something I guess when you're at school and you're thinking about what your career might be, did you have a plan or an idea of what you wanted to do?
Nah, zero plan. I've always been just so passionate for music. My original passion is music and being on stage, and that was like my thing at school. And I knew that after school I wanted to just dive into it. And I panicked because in my last year, it was very much like, what uni are you going to? What's the plan? And I know that at graduation, at just everyone's graduation, they announce they call you up by form class, and then they announce your name and where the person's going to after school. And it felt at the time, people were like, if they said, your name and then followed by a gap year, it's like, it feels, you can feel the people going, oh, gap year, interesting, So I ended up going to uni for a year, and then I left because I knew that I didn't want to be there. So,
but it's interesting, that pressure that you felt.
It was,
because you went and enrolled in university, just to do what everyone else was doing. Yeah. What did you study?
Well, I studied music.
Right.
I thought if I'm going to go to uni, at least do something that I like.
Sure.
So it was music. So I went to University of Otago. I had a really interesting year. It was fun. But I knew that uni wasn't for me. So I found that out really, really quick. Like in the first month, I remember calling my dad and my mum, and I was like, I I don't want to be here. Like, I'm struggling. I just don't want to, like, it got to the point I didn't like studying. I was just, all I wanted to do was music.
Yeah.
And so I would go to, I remember that in the evenings I would go down to we had access to these like rehearsal spaces down past Castle Street towards like the Forsyth Bar, these old cold like buildings. And I would just go down there and scan my key card and go and sit at a piano for a couple of hours and just jam. And yeah, that was kind of how I passed the time.
Did your parents support you in moving on from studies?
Yeah, they did. And that's the thing that I've always been kind of, since I've been a kid, the one thing that I'm so grateful for is my parents have never once kind of poo-hooed my dreams and my goals. They've always been like, man, you're going to do it. Like, just do it. And I remember I told them, I told one of my aunties and she was like, I don't know about leaving uni. It's not a smart choice. And I told my parents and they're like, yeah.
Tell me about when you started playing music. When did you first get the bug?
I first got the bug when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I got my hands on, I think it was the first CD I ever bought. I remember my granddad gave us money to buy something, and me and my brother both wanted to buy a CD.
I'm so eager to hear what CD it was.
Yeah, so my brother bought a High School Musical CD.
Yeah.
And I bought Now 18.
Yes.
And so I just...
Covering your bases.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know why I specifically chose Now 18. I think it was because it was advertised on TV with all like the top hits of everything. And I was like, yo, I want to get on that. And yeah, I bought it, and I had my grandma's old like radio with like, it even had like a cassette player and a CD holder on it. And so I'd put the CD on and I'd sit in my room and just listen to it. And I used to just listen to it from top to bottom all the time.
Do you remember track one?
I don't remember track one, but there was, and it had like Crazy Frog on it. Like that's the era that it was it was so funny. And like I used to listen to that and think like, oh, this is such a good song. But the one song that I was obsessed with was Incomplete by the Backstreet Boys.
Yep,
that song, man, that was like, I think that was the first song I ever got goosebumps to as a 7-year-old, which is wild. And I just became obsessed with that song. And I learned all the words to it. And that song, that my primary school had a talent show at the school fair that year, and then I entered it with that song, and that was kind of where it all kicked off.
Right. But what about playing? You mentioned that you'd sit down and play the piano.
Yeah.
So did you do lessons or did?
Yeah, I got lessons when I didn't get lessons till I was about 10, I think, 10 or 11. I remember my parents were like, if you want to be a singer, we should get you like we should get you into an instrument as well. And they asked like, would you want to do guitar or did you want to do piano? And I thought piano sounded really cool, so I got into lessons with that, and I sucked. Like I was terrible. Like I remember I was just like really impatient with it, like because you got to learn scales, so it's just like
scales, arpeggios, all the theory,
yeah, and it was just that like every night, and I practiced, but I think I kept it for like a year or two, and then I just like gave up. I thought, I'm not getting any good at this. I want to be good, but I can't. Like it's just like young kid mentality with when really it's a long thing to.
It's a long game, yeah. It's
a long game, and then I think I was about 14 or 15. And I still had my keyboard at home, and I thought, no, I want to get back into it. But I just did it through YouTube. So I just would type up how to play. I was obsessed with Bruno Mars when I was at high school, so I learned like a lot of his songs at the time. And we'd just type up YouTube tutorials, and I'd just sit there and learn to play them. And then from there, I found a style. I'm still actually like my technique at playing is terrible, but like I've found my kind of what works and. That's kind of just semi-self-taught, I guess.
But how do you go from being really passionate about music? A lot of people are, and a lot of people want to break into the music industry, and it's really hard. So how do you go from being a hobbyist or an enthusiast to actually being a recorded artist with published material and getting radio play and stuff? Yeah, I
don't know, there was never a moment where it kind of clicked over. I just always did music. Like I was always making music. But I was like statistically late to the recording game because I didn't start writing until I was like, I would have been like 20, 21. So like a lot of songwriters start when they're like 15, but I couldn't write when I was a teenager. And I didn't really know that I wanted to be writing my own songs until I was about 19, 20, 21, and that was when I realized that I would love to make music that people listen to and get goosebumps from, that kind of thing.
And then TikTok.
And then TikTok, yeah. And then TikTok, yeah.
Which is like something else entirely. And actually, you had the most views of any New Zealander for 2023. Is that correct?
Yeah, most viewed artist.
Viewed artist.
Yeah,
it's still millions and millions of
yeah.
millions.
It's still crazy. Like I remember getting that email, and I just kind of yelped and ran for the lounge. Look at this.
So tell me about your TikTok journey, because that's something that is. I don't want to make myself sound old, but I am of a different generation. I'm from the Facebook generation.
Yeah.
But when you joined TikTok,
it
was just for fun, right?
Yes.
Just like everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I remember I downloaded TikTok during the lockdown in 2020, and I would just use it I didn't even have an account, because you can just scroll on it without an account. And I would just scroll, and I just thought it was hilarious. And then I made an account, I think in 2021. I thought, I'm going to start posting like just videos of me singing. And so I did that, and none of them did anything. They didn't take off. And so I just thought, this app's not for me. Like I just, whatever. And then I started to kind of like play around with, like, if there was a funny audio trending, I would lip sync along to that, and it didn't do anything, because I just did it for fun, but then I just thought it was really cringe. So
you weren't really like looking for it to do anything at this point.
I like the idea of like, if I had like an audience, that would be amazing. But I didn't. I wasn't actively pursuing it. And then it was kind of the second half of 2021. I was like recording a bunch of music with a couple of producers, and I kind of just felt like I needed something different, like on top of what I was doing, something that kind of set me apart from what other artists were doing. Because at that time I had I didn't really have much of an audience. My streaming wasn't incredible. Like it was just kind of it was.
You were just self-publishing at this point.
Yeah, self-publishing, and I really wanted something different, and I really wanted to grow an audience, and so I think it was during the August lockdown, the Delta variant lockdown. I came back to Christchurch for that, and I was with my dad, and he was doing a FaceTime call because they had a awards night booked in Auckland, but it got cancelled because of the lockdown, and so they did it like a virtual one. Yeah, and he dressed up in a tuxedo, fully and it was like 4 p.m. on like a Thursday, and like he's dressed in this tuxedo.
Such a weird time, hey.
And he knocked on the door. I was in the spare room, I think I was just playing keys or just maybe writing something. I don't know. And he's like, "How do I look?" And I was like, "Where are you going? It's a lockdown. Like, where are you think you're going?" He's like, "Oh, we got our awards night." And I was like, "Oh, true." And then he's like, I'll just be in the bedroom for a couple of hours." I was like, "Oh, sweet." And he shut the door, and I carried on. About an hour later, he was in this, and I walked out because the spare room was like right next to his. I came out of the spare room, and his door was wide open. Yeah, and he's sitting there he's sitting there at his desk in his room with his laptop open. And he had a bottle of champagne next to him, and he had this like bowl of chippies with it, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, everyone's got their different like windows open, and I just like. I had to go back into the room, and I was cracking up. I thought, oh my God, I've got to record. I've got to like get some kind of recording of this. And so I kind of just put my phone out and recorded it, and then I put it on TikTok, and it just blew up. Yeah. It like blew up super fast. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. Maybe this app does work. And then immediately the next day I posted a video of me singing, and it didn't do anything. So I was like, well, I tried. And it was kind of around that point where I realized that maybe I don't post anything music related. Maybe I should just post daily stuff or like funny things that I find quite funny in the moment, and just post that and give myself like a few months and just and post that and see what I can do with it, see if it grows anything. And it was like January 2022, I made like a pact with myself. I was like, I'm gonna post 4 videos a day of just whatever, like trends, a duet of another video, maybe a singing one if I feel like, and I'm not going to have any emotional attachment to it. I was going to post it. And they started to they started to do all right, and nothing super crazy. And then I filmed a video of me at the cafe I was working at the time, and I put that on TikTok, and it went super viral, and it got me I think I got like 5,000 followers overnight from that, which is quite a lot. Yeah. And my boss at the time, he said to me, he was like, why don't you make a series? Why don't you just come into work and make a series? Make heaps of videos. He's
already seeing the value in you making content in
He
the
thought
cafe.
It was really funny, which was like a huge win. Like, mad respect for him, because like some hospo bosses would be like, bro, phone away. Yeah. Like, and I, you know, I'm terrible at procrastinating, so I had my phone leaning up on the wall. But I came in the next day, it was my day off, and I made like, I think I made like 8 videos, 10, and I turned it into a series, and each one of them went super viral. And then I hit my first like 10K followers, and that was when I was like, oh man, this is it. Like, I'm just gonna post weird stuff, funny stuff, like every now and then, maybe something to do with my music, but I'm not gonna focus too much on the music online, and just grow myself and my own brand and see what I can do with it. So
it's definitely a new way of thinking, of like having a personal brand. Like, you're the main character in your story. Yeah. And what I love about your attitude to growing on TikTok is not being ashamed about kind of like, okay, my skill set or the area I want to move into and be in and have a career in is music. But I found this other thing that I happen to be quite good at, and not kind of going, oh no, but you know, I need to be an earnest artist, and it has to be, you know, all just credible music, and that's the only way I want it to appear to the outside world.
For sure.
You know, like that's, I think, quite a unique way of thinking, I think, especially for musicians.
Oh, and it's hard. Like, it's really hard, because so many people, and me too, like, so we all, like musicians, we just want to write music that we love and we're proud of, and put it out there and just have it, and just be proud of it, and have people find it when they need it, kind of thing. But I think in today's in the industry today, it's just, there's like I don't even know the stats, but there's crazy amount of music being put up daily, and it's just fun. And I think the ironic thing about it is, I had a different Instagram account to the one I have now, and I think it had 4,000 followers on it, and I barely posted on it. I would only post stuff that I thought was kind of aesthetic to my music, or like kind of like within my mysterious persona. And so I never, and also because I just like always felt like people just judged what I posted on Instagram. And with TikTok, I felt like it was this app that no one else really was on, like especially in 2022. A lot of people in New Zealand weren't using it. So I felt like I could post on there and no one's going to judge me. And if people do judge me, they're likely going to be people that I will never see in my life. They're somewhere else. So I felt like I was growing this audience that was fully new, that loved me for the kind of cringe, funny stuff. But now everyone sees it. So like all the people that I used to worry about judging me, they all know what I do. They all see the videos. So it's kind of funny how it's become it's kind of cross-platform. So yeah, you can't. You can't escape it.
You can't escape it. Not when you've got a following that big.
Yeah, exactly. So but it's fine. I've come to terms with it now. I've kind of stopped. Like my kind of general rule of thumb is if I think it's cringe, that I have to post it. Like it's
like that's probably
going to do well. Yeah. So that's the unfortunate side of it. But
how do you balance? I guess the TikTok life's quite busy. You're talking about posting, like, you know, you had this pack to post 4 times a day and that sort of thing. How do you balance that with the music, which before would have taken up all of your time?
It's interesting. I still haven't quite figured it out. Like, it's still a learning curve because it is. It's a lot. I spend a lot of time making content. Definitely more so than writing music. And sometimes I get really in my head about it. I'm like, should I just go back into the music for a bit and not put pressure on the content? So I'm still kind of learning that balance because it's a lot, and I find that it's like creatively can be quite draining sometimes, because, you know, writing music and coming up with concepts for content, and then coming up with like a idea for, I don't know, like a brand campaign. It's like all these different creative ideas at once. It can stretch your ideas across it all. So I'm still just kind of discovering that for myself, but also trying not to put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, I mean, that's key, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's when you buckle.
Absolutely.
In terms of the content that you make on TikTok, is there a plan ultimately with your account?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't have a, and this could be a good or a bad thing, but I don't have a massive plan for where it's going. I think I've never had like a set goal of what I wanted it to grow to. It was always like, oh, how far can I take this? Like, how far can it grow? And that's still very much the thought behind it. So I guess as long as it's still working and people are loving the content, then I'll just keep going. Because yeah, I love it, and I think the biggest thing I love about it is the amount of people that it's resonated with online that would have never known I existed. And now I've got people that love my videos, and through that they've found my music, and so it's quite a beautiful thing. So I think that's really the plan. It's just to keep doing it. So yeah.
Keep doing it. Keep exposing people to your music.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
see where it ends up. And you can make a career out of being a content creator.
Absolutely, yeah. I've just, as of like a month ago, I am now kind of full-time content creating and music, which is huge for me. So, and I never would have known that would be possible, you know. But there's a lot of money in content creating and working with brands, and like I've started working with Spark Arena and doing all these, and I'm working with an Australian brand as well. So it's been quite surprising and rewarding, like having that happen. So yeah,
I mean, it's an art form.
It is.
It's a different kind of performance
Absolutely.
to perhaps people from my generation and older are used to. And I think maybe a lot of the cynicism not from me, because I obviously think you're amazing, but from certain people is that they just don't understand it.
Definitely, yeah. And there's a lot of people that don't get what I do, and that's fine. I'm like, I know that's gonna, but it's always been the way. Like, it's when I was young and I was focusing on music. Like, there are, I was like I was saying earlier, like I was lucky that my family, my friends are supportive, but there was also people that would kind of be like, oh, when will you get a real job, kind of thing. And that's, I feel like big dreams always get challenged, like, all the time. And when you're especially when you're doing something that's not like traditional. So it's the same with content creating. People are always gonna not understand it, but that's fine. Like, it's they don't have to. They don't have to understand what we do. It's if they enjoy it, and that's that's all good. So.
It's pretty undeniable that it's here. It's big business, and it's here to stay.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And it's been like interesting watching it become bigger in New Zealand as well, because like even a couple of years ago, like TikTok was still quite foreign to New Zealand. I feel like it took off overseas first before New Zealand, and now it's cool seeing how brands and companies are really getting behind it now. And
brands are working with content creators to come up with really creative and interesting and fun or meaningful and impactful, well, all of those things can be true at the same time, ways of getting their messaging out there that's so much more dynamic than watching a TV ad, and so much more effective. Yeah,
absolutely. And like, the consumers are smart now, we know an ad when we see one, and we automatically, and that's like, on TikTok now they have ads, so like, every few swipes you'll see an ad, and it's like, oh, get away from that. Like, it's so it is about creative advertising as an interesting one. So it's cool. It's an interesting thing to watch brands and companies have people make videos for them and do it in a way that it doesn't feel like an ad. I
feel like in the future people will stumble across this podcast episode and think it sounds so primitive, us talking about how it's this new novel way.
I know,
when it's going to be so. I mean, it is embedded, but it's only going to get more so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's a common misconception people have about you, Taylor?
Oh, common misconception. I think a common misconception about me is a lot of people think that I'm very, like, quite outgoing and confident, when really I'm very self-critical, and I'm very I have some really dark moments, and it's I think it's a disadvantage to the entertainment and the music and this kind of being in this industry. You really judge yourself, even if no one else is judging you. Like, I've had a great support system, but still, I've doubted myself a lot. So, and sometimes sometimes to the point where I'll be having a really bad kind of mental day, but I'll make a video that's my usual kind of happy stuff or whatever. And it's like I put this mask on just because I'm like, oh, I haven't posted today. And I post it. And then I go back to feeling like, you know, and everyone's laughing online. I go, oh, this is funny as, or this is what, you know. And so I think, yeah, that would be a huge misconception, is that it's not always, you know, people aren't always like how we see them online. Even the happiest of accounts or the funniest of people, often those can be the ones that are, you know, going through it.
Humour can be a real defense mechanism. Huge,
yeah. Humour, music, all of it. It's but it's also it's also healing. You know, like music for me is yesterday. I was just really stressed out yesterday. I was just stretching a few things and kind of just, it all kind of like got overwhelming. And I was just feeling like so rough last night. And I had rehearsal with my band last night, and I like just almost like couldn't be bothered. I just thought, oh no, I just want to sit here and just not go anywhere. Went to rehearsal, and I just came out just like absolutely buzzing. I'm like, it's those moments that you're like, oh, this stuff just is so good for my soul. Like that's what I need, and it's always been what I need. So, and I do feel that with making content. Like it is. Yeah, it's interesting. I think people they never know what's going on.
No.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have these sorts of conversations, because I think it's really, it's key that people can kind of access and get to know people beyond what they just see on their phone screens when they're swiping.
Yeah.
Because that sort of stuff is actually incredibly relatable to a lot of people, even if they are not public facing. They might be going into work every day and putting on a mask.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know,
and I get so nervous for any kind of public interaction, and I get like my girlfriend, she's amazing, and I like almost like sometimes I kind of crumble. I say I can't do it. Like, what if I can't do it? Like, and she's always like, dude, you've got this. Like, you're natural at this. And I always like, even coming here, I'm like going over it in the car, all these questions. I'm like, how am I going to talk? Like, how am I going to sit? Like, what am I going to say? And but then it happens like in the moment, and it's like, oh, this is sweet. We're chatting. So it's just like, and it's always like that. It's always that initial mental roadblock of like, you doubt yourself, but then once you're there, it's like, oh, what was I worried about? Yeah,
it's pushing yourself, through that little roadblock.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm so glad that you did push yourself through the roadblock and
came
and talked to us.
It wasn't a roadblock to get here. I was so excited, but I was so nervous about what I was going to say. Yeah. When I talk about myself, sometimes I just choke and I don't know what I'm saying.
It's not a Kiwi thing to do, is it? Either. It's like gas ourselves out.
Exactly. Yeah. We are very humble. So, yeah.
Have you had an aha moment in your career?
Yeah, I think that like the biggest kind of aha moment I've always had is every time I thought something's going to happen a certain way and it doesn't, I get really upset by it. But then another opportunity opens up down the line that's even better. Mm-hmm. And I look back and go, oh, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have been, this wouldn't have happened.
Tell me about Soldier Boy, your good friend.
My good friend.
Your good
my
mate,
alias.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so funny. I still just think it's so ridiculous. The funniest thing is when people come up to me and call me the Soldier Boy guy. Like, that's crazy to me.
You're like Soldier Boy is actually someone.
There is an artist called Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny to me. Yeah, that's been wild. For
anyone who hasn't seen the clips, can you just give us a little explanation?
Yeah, so I DJ. Even though a lot of people online think the funny thing is people think I don't DJ because it's all fake. Like, I'm all just pretending for show. But people really take it on. They just believe it. But anyway, so I've got my little DJ board, and I essentially will play one song, and if the song has the word you in it, when it comes to the word you, I switch it to the you. Bow, bow. Yeah, and that's it. That's the steez. The one of the key parts of Soldier Boy creating that song, you drop it in. Yeah. And in huge juxtaposition often. Yeah, really jarring. Yeah, it's got to be jarring.
Songs, and people just lap it up.
Yeah.
And so the first one, the first time you did that, how did you go? Like, what happened? Yeah, what made you do that in the first place?
I remember there's a really funny TikTok DJ creator and she's an amazing DJ. Her name's DJ Mandy. She's so funny. She is my all-time favorite creator. And she blew up heaps last year for doing similar thing, but like she would be like mixing a song with another song, but would mix them like really out of time, and then she would have other random sounds pop in, like a siren, or like she mixed like a sound of like steel bars just like clanging together with a song. And so it was just real, just like, it's not music, but it's so obviously jarring that it just, people lapped it up. And I used to just cackle. Like I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I thought, man, I would love to do something. Like I was just so inspired by that content. I thought, man, it'd be so funny to do something similar to that. And then one day, like, it would have been like maybe like October or something, I was scrolling on TikTok and there was this guy DJing, and he was DJing out of Ed Sheeran's Perfect, and he DJed into something else, and I was singing the chorus myself that day, all day, and then and I kept just like randomly went dancing in the dark with you, and I just did it a couple times. I thought, oh, that's a really good idea for a video. So I set up my thing and I was like, where do I do it? And because we're living in a small apartment, and I thought, I've got to get a room. Like I love having natural light when I make a video, and our bedroom is like the brightest room in the house. So I just put the board on the bed and set up my phone and my laptop, and I did it and I posted it, and it went pretty viral. Like I can't remember, it didn't go like super viral, but it did really well. And then someone commented on it saying, dude, you have to do this with the not me, not Hermione, you, because that was trending, the not me, not Hermione, you. And I thought, oh, that's so good. So I did that, and that just went bonkers. Like that just like blew up. And so and then people started requesting different songs. So I just started just stitching the comments.
That's great. You've got them doing all the work for you. Yeah.
So I just jumped on it like real quick. And that's how we got here. So yeah.
And that stuff went like wild viral.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, it went all over the world.
Has Soulja Boy seen it?
No. I don't know if he's seen it. I hope so. I really hope so. I've done him. I feel like I've done him a solid. Not that he needed that song.
He probably didn't need it.
No.
But at the same time, he's not been very relevant for a long time, and this has brought him back into into relevance.
Yeah. So maybe he's seen it, but who knows.
We talked a little bit already about kind of people being like, how do you make money from this? Why are advertising got dollars going into social media, and how this is actually the future and where things are at. But for you, was that ever on the agenda when you were starting out on TikTok, starting to see things fly? Were you ever sort of sitting there going, I could turn this into a venture?
Nah, not up until last year, actually. Like, it was more just, for me, it was I wanted to grow my own like self as a brand, to then,
for the music,
flick people to try and gain music listeners and music fans that way, and that was the goal. And then as it started to kind of, the audience started to grow quite a lot last year, I thought, oh well, I mean, maybe there is like a money opportunity here, but I didn't want to be the guy that's like, oh, I'm taking advantage of this and gonna make some cash, like. But I wanted to. It's like, it's a double-edged sword. You wanna like be able to do that. Yeah. But you don't want the audience to think that they're just being used. Yeah,
or you're a sellout or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what gets you over the line from,
I mean, I don't know. I just thought, if I'm gonna do it, I want to work with brands that align with me, or that I feel like will be a natural fit for me. And so far I've been very lucky to work with every brand, every campaign I've done has been a really cool campaign, and it's worked in with my humor or my style or personality. So it hasn't felt it's never felt like it's obviously jarring. So
I'm always so curious as to how much input the brands and clients have to the content. Do they like fully trust you to deliver the message, and or is it like sending it back 14 times for feedback and revisions?
Think some of them do trust. I think that's the biggest learning. That'll be the next. I think that's the next step that has to change. Is that because a lot of brands don't. They trust the content creator will deliver their the video, but then it's like a lot of the time they get it back and then they want to just fully strip it down and change it completely. And they're like, oh well, let's do it this way. Oh, could he say this? Yeah. And then it becomes and it always becomes more of an ad.
Yeah, and then it's inauthentic, right?
Yeah, and so I guess that's the one thing that I do still struggle with, and that line is sometimes it can feel like you'll get given the brief and you'll be like, oh, amazing, I've got an idea already. This is perfect. And then you do it, and then they just fully want to re-script it, rechange it, and then it feels just like not you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the next step is brands will just, and it takes time because it is still a new thing, and brands kind of do need to trust content creators that, if you've got someone that knows the audience, knows what works, maybe just let them roll with it.
Yeah. I want to talk about the money dynamic in terms of your music and your content creation on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing that TikTokers it's notoriously difficult to make money with music.
Yeah. Oh,
always has been.
It's rough.
And you're doing really well on TikTok.
Yeah.
So how does that sit with you, knowing that, here's this thing that's kind of flourishing and probably bringing in a good income versus this thing that you really have always wanted to have a career in, and it perhaps not doing the same sort of level?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've always known that music was never going to be like a money maker. It's always been a passion. So I have never had.
Not that it can't be.
But yeah, I was going to say, not that it can't be, because I do make money through music and that in forms of gigs and shows. And I learnt to DJ purely because after COVID, a lot of places stopped booking bands, so our band stopped getting bar gigs, and everyone was booking DJ. So I thought, I'll just learn to DJ because then I can continue to be creative, and it's another outlet for me. So. I think I'm and then with TikTok making money for me, like I'm so lucky. Like I feel very lucky, very grateful that that's happening, that the music, I don't feel like I don't feel disheartened that my monthly streaming checks aren't breaking they're not really like breaking massive amounts. Like I look at them, oh, that's fine, it's a little bit better than last month, so it's cool, but it's I don't have any, like, my day-to-day finances aren't on the balance of what my music streaming income is.
Yeah. Do they actually send checks, or is it
I do? Yeah, I get, well, just like it's like an invoice they do online, like an email invoice.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember in 2022, I think it was, I got like my biggest check, and I genuinely don't know why. Like two of my songs did really well with royalties wise, and it just took me by surprise. I'm like, this is crazy, and I'd never.
You've never been able to trace it.
And I don't know why. Do not know why it did so well.
Is that from Spotify or from radio?
I don't think it was Spotify. I think it's a radio. It's either a radio thing or like it was used for like not syncing, but like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Someone explained it to me, but it took me by surprise. I thought, oh, that's cool. I mean, it was a massive amount. It wasn't a massive amount, but it was like a decent amount compared to what I was used to. So I was like, damn.
So you never know.
You just never know.
Like open up that email one day and it's like, oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah, and one of my songs has been doing really well in the last couple of years, and it's still kind of, it still seems to be just my best like streaming song. So that still, does all right. But yeah, it's definitely, music's definitely not the main income stream. And it's until you're in the millions and millions of streams.
Yeah.
But then, you've got a label and you've got all that. So it's all, by the time you get the cash in hand, it's often not a lot. So
yeah.
I've
worked at a record label too, so I understand a little bit about how it can sound like a lot of money if someone's getting an advance.
I know,
but then there's
especially advances. It's you pay it back.
Yeah,
and it's a really deceiving one, because it's a amazing thing to be told you're getting paid that much money, but then it's when you learn you got to pay it back, it's like, all right, the music's got to do good then. Like it
often looks like people are making a lot of money through social media. You see ads pop up and you're like, damn, they must be creaming
I
it.
saw a comment ages ago on one of my videos saying, oh, so bro's rich, and it was about to do with, I was using something in the video, it was something silly like a hand soap brand. Oh, yeah, I did a video in my bathroom. It was like last year. It wasn't for the hand soap. It wasn't a brand. It was just a random...
something in the background.
Yeah, it was just there. And someone said, bro's got that Aesop. He's rich. But it wasn't Aesop. It was just a supermarket brand of hand soap. I'm like, dude. No. That's not correct.
So, I mean, I guess do you feel like there's some real misconceptions about how much people make for certain things?
Yeah, definitely.
Tied into the audience size,
yeah,
right?
but I think people see someone that's like in the public eye a lot and having, you know, a few viral moments, and they just like associate that with like successful money, and so they think, oh yeah, they'll be rolling, which is not always the case. It's you can go months without campaigns, so it's still, there's still moments where you really got to save and really got to spend wisely and eat cheap. Yeah. So.
Do you think like that when you have a check come in or you book a decent campaign? Do you kind of you budget it out to cover a little runway?
Definitely. I've always been really good with money. I've always had a really good relationship with money. I try not to spend unnecessary things.
Again, oldest child stuff.
I reckon, yeah. My dad, he used to, when I was even before I understood money, when I was little, he used to always preach about saving money, Kiwi saver, all of that thing. So I've always, when I've had a really good earning of income, I'm not the kind of person that goes, yo, payday, let's go. Like, I do definitely just like, I like to pretend I have less than what I have.
Right.
So I just like almost, we'll just avoid buying like an expensive drink, you know, like if I'm at I don't know. But,
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Music, you make money, TikTok, you start making some money there. Are there any other avenues or sources of income that you've picked up along the way? Yeah,
I mean, up until a couple of months ago, I've been working as a barista just at a couple of cafes. So I've always done that, like, depending on my lifestyle at the time, it's kind of switched between full-time and part-time. It was like part-time / casual this year, just because I was having more opportunities open up with my gigs and with TikTok, I guess. But that's always been like a pretty reliable, easy income, flexible hours. Yeah.
What do you spend money on that brings you joy?
Oh my God, food. Yeah, I love food.
I was fully expecting you to say like music gear. No. And then you said food and I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like buying new music gear, obviously it does bring you joy because it's going towards something that, you know, you need. But I don't know. I love going out and like buying a nice meal. That's just, it's a simple joy in life. Yeah. But yeah, I really love it. I love buying food. Yeah.
What in your budget list is a must-have that you can't do without?
Budget list, good pair of headphones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mind spending a lot of money on a good set of headphones just because I'm always listening to music and music is my thing.
And as a musician, you will be so much more attuned to all the little subtle nuances in a composition or a recording.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think headphones is a big thing that I always just don't like. If I need to buy a new, I haven't bought any for ages, but the last time I bought my headphones, it was pretty expensive, but I just didn't feel guilty about it because I'm like, I'm going to use that every day. Like, I'm going to rinse that thing. Yeah. And they're starting to fall apart. Like, they're like a good 4 years old now, but they still go crazy. So, yeah.
But you've thrashed them.
Thrashing them, yeah.
Taylor, if you could sum up your experiences leading up to your success in one word, what would that word be?
Fulfilling. Yeah, really fulfilling. I think everything I've done over the last, few years, I've always stuck to what I love. I've never really caved into judgment, and yeah, it's just rewarding and fulfilling, and every day I get to, actually the other day I was with my producer, Joel, and he said to me, he's like, bro, how lucky are we that we get to wake up and we can just create? Like, we may not be where we want to be, we've still got a long way to go, but dude, we're already winning because we get to wake up and we get to make music, or we get to make videos. Like, we're already winning. So yeah, I think it's a very fulfilling position that I'm in. So
okay, Taylor, are you ready for your quick fire questions?
Yes. Hang on, drink first.
Have a drink. Get yourself prepared. All right. What are you saving for?
New laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my current one is falling apart.
Right, time for a new one.
Definitely.
What was your first big purchase?
My first big purchase was a Roland 88 keys keyboard. I remember that at the time it was like $1,800, and I think I was 17. I'd never spent more than like $200 on anything up to that point. So yeah, that was my first big purchase.
Have you still got it?
Still got it, and it's a beautiful keyboard, and it's in Christchurch, but I'm gonna bring it with me soon.
Nice. What's your go-to treat?
Go-to treat right now, like I was saying before, ice cream.
Ice cream?
Yeah, ice cream or chocolate.
What brings you joy?
My like family feeling good and doing well and just being healthy. Like I really just, like the last couple of years, like my family have had like between the four of us, have all had moments where one's not doing super great, and it's been really concerning. But for the last like couple of months, like everyone is just so happy and so healthy and like doing well in their jobs, and so that makes me so happy. So yeah, I think that's a big one for me.
You're so sweet. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Your parents must be so proud.
I hope so.
What was your last splurge?
Last splurge? Oh man, my last splurge would have been probably this cardigan.
Oh,
actually,
we love the cardigan.
I bought this like a month ago, and it cost me like $180, which is quite expensive for a cardigan. And it's not, it's pretty thin, but I just loved it. I saw it and I was like, that's sick. And I put it on. I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have put it on because I'm going to get it now. Yeah. And I bought it. I thought, nah, I'm obsessed.
Finally, before we go, if there's one thing that you would advise Kiwi to do today to start achieving their goals, what would it be?
Honestly, not telling people your goals and just doing it. Like, I think that's a huge one. Keeping your goals like super close to your chest. Because I think the second you tell people your goals, people judge. They always do, and some people will support it, but some people are gonna not. And it's very easy to listen to the people that don't support it. So, yeah, if you've got goals and you just want to start, I would just start and not tell anyone. Just keep them close to yourself. Write them down and then keep it.
I love that. Taylor, thank you so much for coming into This is Kiwi.
It's been amazing.
This is Knowledge for Better. This is Taylor Roche. This is Kiwi. Mm-hmm.